Hello everyone. Today we will start your chapter number 4, that is tribal decus and the vision of golden age. Okay, as we have completed this chapter in your online classes, but many students they were not able to join that class, so I have make a video for those students who have not attend the online class. So let's begin the chapter. Okay, so in this chapter, tribal decus and the vision of golden age, we will go through the lifestyle of the tribal people. We came to know that what type of life they live and how their life was affected with the advent of the British power in India. Okay, so here they have started your chapter with an event which happened in 1895, where they having in 1895 a man named Birsa was seen roaming the forest and villages of Chota Nagpur in Jharkhand. Okay, so it means they started the chapter with an event, with a revolutionary event led by the led by a tribal group in Jharkhand named Munda tribe, led by the Birsa Munda, a revolutionary tribal leader. Okay, so first of all we will see that what makes these tribal people to lead a revolt against the British government. Okay, so first we see that what what type of life they live. So in your book, the first topic they have, the first headline, the first heading they have given to you is how did tribal groups live. In this topic we will see that what type of life the different tribal groups they live in India before the arrival of the British government. Okay, so some were jhum cultivators, in India there was the appearance of different tribal groups and they live different way of life. Okay, so means one such group is that who just follow the jhum cultivation, which is also called the shifting cultivation. Okay, so in some of the tribal groups they practice the jhum cultivation, that is the shifting cultivation, and this was done on the small patches of land, mostly in the forests. Okay, so in this type of agriculture or in this type of cultivation, the cultivators cut the tree tops to allow sunlight to reach the ground and blunt the vegetation on the land to clear it for cultivation. They spread the ash, that is जिसको हम राख बोलते हैं, from the firing which contained potash. Okay, that is an essential mineral which is very important to increase the fertility of soil. So to fertilize the soil they used potash, means the ashes. So they use the axe to cut trees and the hoe to scratch the soil and order to prepare for it for cultivation. By broadcast the seeds, they that is scattered the seeds on the fields instead of plugging the land and sowing the seeds. Once the crop was ready and harvested, they moved to another field, the field that had been cultivated once left fallow. So I will just make you understand this jhum cultivation or the shifting cultivation in simple words. So we can say that in shifting cultivation, means this type of cultivation was done in a forested land under which the cultivators or the tribal groups they just cut a part of a forest and then they burnt it and they spread the ashes on that agricultural area, and they used to grow different types of crop. And after a year or two, when they feels that the fertility of soil is started to decrease, they just left that land area as fallow. Means it is a process where the tribal groups they leave that agricultural land for year or two, by which it will get its lost nutrients and they move towards some other regions where they follow the same procedure or same practice. Okay, now the next heading is some were the hunters and the gatherers. Okay, so in many regions the tribal groups lived by hunting animals and gathering the different forest products. Okay, in Konds, the hunters and the gatherers living in the forests of Odisha, means this is the name of a tribal group who used to live in the state of Odisha. So this tribal group used many forest scrubs and herbs for the medical purposes and sold the forest produce in the local markets. Okay, Begas of the central India is also a tribal group who were reluctant to do work for the other tribal groups. Okay, so the different tribal groups often needed to buy and sell in order to be able to get into goods that were not produced within the locality. This led to their dependence on the traders and the money lenders. Means these different tribal groups, they used to sell different forest products which were not available in the local region. So for that they were depend on the local traders. Okay, so those tribal groups who act as an hunters and the gatherers, they not just only hunts the animal, but they also use different forest products for their daily use, or it is the chief activity of their trade. Okay, so here in your NCERT book they have given you a map which shows the location of the different tribal groups in the different states of India. The Gaddi Shepherds, this means this is the tribal group of Himachal Pradesh. Okay, here in J&K actually they didn't mention here, but the Gujar Bakarwal is a big tribal groups who were the animal shepherds. They also used to live in J&K. So means they, in this map they have given you the location of the different tribal groups who used to live in different states of India. Please you just see this map also. Okay, now we will see the another tribal groups who act as who herd the animals, who becomes the animal herders. Okay, so many tribal groups lived by herding and rearing animals and gathering the forest produce. Okay, they were considered themselves as the pastoralists who moved with their herds of cattle or sheep according to the seasons. So Gaddi shepherds, which is prescribed in your map here, they are the best example of this type of means pastoralists or the tribal community. Okay, because they move from one place to another in search of better pasture land for their animals. Okay, so means the one Gujars of Punjab hills and the the Gaddis and the Levedis of Andhra Pradesh were cattle herds. The Gaddis of the Kullu and were the shepherds, and the Gujar Bakarwals of J&K were the examples of such type of tribal communities. Okay, so here in this map I have already explained you that they have given you the location of different tribal groups who move from one place to another in search of better pasture land for their animals. So the one Gujars, okay, of Punjab, the Gujar Bakarwals of J&K, means after this the Gaddi shepherds of Himachal Pradesh, they were the some chief tribal communities who also were the pastoralists, means they move from one region to another in search of better grazing grounds for their animals. So in this context we can say that means a group of tribal people also act as the animal herds. Okay, animal herders who used to herd the animals or rear the animals. Okay, now another group who act as the means settled cultivators, means they didn't move from one region to another, they just settled at one place, and with the domestication of animal they just used to grow different types of crop and remains at one place. Okay, so many the tribal groups had begun to settle down instead of moving from one place to another. They began to use the plug and means they also rear different types of animals like goat, buffaloes, sheep, and live on them. Okay, so the British officials saw settled tribes groups like the Gonds and the Santhals. So the Gonds and the Santhal tribes are an example of settled tribe community. Okay, so the British, they also very much in support of such type of tribal people who used to settle at one place. Okay, but with the advent of the British, and when the Britishers they started to hold their consolidation over the different regions of India, it also affects the life of these tribal people. Means they were not able to do such type of traditional activities which they were doing earlier. So now we will see that how their life started to change. So in your the next topic is how did colonial rule affect the tribal lives. Now we will see that how the advent of the Britishers and how the colonial laws or the rules affect the life of these tribal people. Okay, so they have started this topic with the subheading that is what happened to the tribal chiefs. Okay, so before the arrival of the British in India, in many areas the tribal chiefs were an important people. They were means they were considered as an important person in the tribal group, as they enjoyed a certain amount of economic powers and had right to administer and control their territories. Means they enjoyed so many rights and they have so many, means they have much control over their tribes before the advent of the Britishers. Okay, so in some places they had their own police and they decided on the local rulers of the land and the forest management. But with the advent and with the spread of the British rule in India, the functions and the powers of these tribal chiefs started to change very considerably. Okay, now they were allowed to keep their land titles over a cluster of villages and rent out lands, but they lost much of their administrative powers and were forced to follow the laws made by the British officials in India. And they also had to pay the tribute or tax to the British and discipline the tribal groups on behalf of the British. They lost the authority they had earlier enjoyed among us the people and were unable to fulfill their traditional function. So in short, we can say that with the advent of the Britishers in India, the tribal chiefs they started to lose their powers, and now instead of the masters of their tribe, they started to act as the agents of the British government. Okay, means they have to run their tribes according to the laws made by the British government. So in this context, they and whatever the tax imposed by the British government, it is the duty of the head of the tribe to pay, means to give that, means to collect that tax from the different tribal people and give it to the British government. So in this context, after the coming of the British government, the tribal chiefs they act as the agents of the British government. Okay, now the next topic in your book is what happened to the shifting cultivators. Okay, देखो बेटा, the Britishers they were not in favor of shifting cultivation. Okay, let me tell you why they were against such type of cultivation. देखो बेटा, as I have already told you that in shifting cultivation, the tribal people they used to move from one place to another and they use different forest areas for doing such type of cultivation, and under this cultivation they just used to cut a part of tree. Okay, but in 1864, this is not mentioned in your book, but I am telling you, in 1864 the Britishers they started to pass different forest laws which badly affects the life of, it means these tribal groups. So under these laws अभी हम इसको आगे पढ़ना है. अभी आपको मैं इतना बता देता हूँ कि means the laws of the forest laws of 1864 divided the Indian forests into 3 different categories, that is reserved forest, protected forest and the village forest. Okay, so all type of activities like jhum cultivation or the shifting cultivation was strictly banned on such type of forest. Okay, now I will explain you why the British government they just against the means shifting cultivation. Okay, actually the British government they want to rule over a settled population. Okay, वो एक settled population के ऊपर rule करना चाहते थे, because if the people they will settled at one place, it will be easy for the British government to administer them and to took different types of taxes. This is the main reason. Okay, and another strong reason for this is, as I have told you that in this type of agriculture they just burnt the forest land, and in which they cut down the trees and burnt them. So the Britishers they having a fear that the fire will spread and it will provide harm to the various precious timber, that is teak, sal, sagun, shisham. So the forest fire can spread and it will destroy the valuable timber. That is why they were against the shifting cultivation, because they wanted to rule over the settled population and they have the fear of the spread of forest fire may destroy the valuable timber. Okay, so to restrict their movements they just pass different laws. One such law is the Criminal Tribal Act. So under this act they declare all those shifting cultivators, or the tribal groups who consistently change their movements. Okay, means who consistently change their places, all those tribal groups they were considered as criminals, and under the act they were badly punished. So the Britishers they just tried their best to ban the shifting cultivation, which badly affects the life of those tribal groups who were engaged in jhum cultivation or the shifting cultivation. Okay, so facing a widespread protest in the British had to ultimately allow them the right to carry on shifting cultivation, means as this is the primary or the traditional activities of many tribal groups. So when they badly opposed it, the Britishers they were compelled to allow these tribal groups in some regions to practice the shifting cultivation, but after a period of time they just ban it. Okay, now the next topic in your book is forest laws and their impact. So I have already told you this, means the life of these tribal groups, as you have seen, was directly connected to the forest. As we all know that these tribal people they used to live into the forest, so directly or indirectly they were totally depend on the forest and the different forest products. So changes in the forest law had a considerable effect on the lives of these tribal groups. The British extended their control over the forest and declared that forests were state property. Some forests were classified as reserved forest. This I have already told you. These are the forests where all type of activities were strictly banned, and the tribal groups they were not permitted to enter in these forests. Okay, the next one is the protected forest. It means some of the groups they can enter in these forests, but means they should have asked the British officials, and this means without the permission or the permit they were not allowed to enter in protected forest. Okay, so the reserved forest for they produce timber which the British wanted, means reserved forest was considered as the most precious forest for the British government, as these forests having the valuable timber like teak, sal, sagun, shisham, which they used for their shipbuilding industry in England. Okay, so in these forests people were not allowed to move freely, practice jhum cultivation, collect fruits or hunt animals. So in this condition, how the jhum cultivators to survive in such situation? Many were therefore forced to move to other regions or the areas in search of work and the livelihood. Okay, but once the British stopped the tribal people from living inside the forest, they faced a problem from where means where would the forest department get its labor to cut trees for the railways and the sleepers? देखो बेटा, it is very true that the Britishers they put so many restrictions on these tribal people to enter in these forests, but means the Britishers they also having the they also face the problem that from where they would get the laborers to cut the trees and then shipped these logs of wood into the sleepers, means they having the labor problem. Then the colonial officials came up with a solution that they decided that they would give jhum cultivators small patches of land in the forest and allow them to cultivate these on one condition, that those who lived in the village forest would have to provide labor to the forest department and look after the forest. So in many regions the forest department established forest villages, means to ensure the regular supply of cheap labor. So I have already told you that the Britishers they divided the Indian forest into three different categories, that is reserved forest, protected forest and the village forest. So the village forests are those forests where the tribal groups they were means allowed to live, but on one condition, that they will provide free labor to the British government. Okay, I hope now you understand. So the next topic in your book is the problem with trade. Okay, so in this topic means we will see the problems faced by these tribal people having the different trading activities. So during the 19th century the tribal groups found that traders and the moneylenders were coming into the forest more often, wanting to buy the forest produce, offering cash loans and asking them to work for the wages. It looks tribal groups sometimes to understand the consequences of that was happening. So that means under the British rule, the Britishers they give tenders to different money lenders or the landlords, that means under which they give, that means different loans and the charges to these tribal groups, and in return they have to produce different types of goods for them. Let us consider the case of silk growers. In the 18th century, Indian silk was in demand in European markets. The fine quality of the Indian silk was highly valued and exports from India increased rapidly. Okay, so as the markets expanded, East India Company officials tried to encourage silk production to meet the growing demand. Okay, so it means during that phase the Indian silk was means very famous and is very much in demand in the European markets. So the Britishers they wanted to increase the production of silk to fulfill the demands in the European markets. Okay, so Hazaribagh in present day Jharkhand was an area where the Santhals reared the cocoons. It is the product that is used for to produce silk. Okay, the traders dealing in silk sent in their agents who gave loans to these tribal people and collected the cocoons. The growers were paid 3 to 4 for 1000 cocoons. You just imagine here how less they were paid, and means the silk production is a very time consuming and very hard working process, but for the production of 1000 cocoons they were paid only 3 to 4 rupees. Okay, so these were the exports to Budwan Gaya, where they were sold at 5 times, means whatever the कॉस्ट ऑफ दी सुकून देवर सोल्ड उससे वो 5 गुना जो है ज़्यादा रेटों पे उसको बेचा जाता था. तो द मिडिल मैन so called because they arranged deals between the exporters and the silk growers made huge profits. The silk growers earned very little, and understandably many tribal groups saw the markets and the traders as their main enemies. So here means the producers, means the different tribal groups or the peasants who were the main producers of these silk products, they paid very less. Means both the money lenders and the middlemen they both badly exploited them. So in these circumstances these tribal groups saw the markets and the traders as their main enemies. Okay, so as most of their traditional activities were almost eroded, so it was very difficult for them to stay on their traditional activities. Now the next topic in your book is the search of work. So when they started to lose their traditional activities, that these tribal groups, they started to search for some other job or work. So the plight of the tribals who had to go far away from their homes in search of work was even worse. From the late 19th century, the tea plantation started coming up and mining became an important industry. Okay, so the tribals were recruited in large number to work in the tea plantations of Assam and coal mines of Jharkhand. Okay, so when these tribal groups, they started to lose their traditional activities, so to earn their livelihood, they started to work in the plantation work, in the plantations of Assam and the coal mines of Jharkhand as the laborers. ठीक है, as a laborers, means which make their life even more harsh. They were recruited through the contractors who paid them miserably low wages and prevented them from returning home. Okay, so means these tribal groups were badly exploited, as the owners, they took too much work from them, and in return they give them very less wages. Okay, so the last topic in your book is now Birsa Munda, from where they have started this chapter. Birsa Munda was a tribal revolutionary who belongs to a Munda tribe. Okay, and this group led the movement in Jharkhand, means that is in Chota Nagpur Plateau region. They used to live in Chota Nagpur Plateau region, which is at present in Jharkhand. So this is means the tribal group who led the revolt against the Britishers under the leadership of Birsa Munda. Here we will read a little bit about Birsa Munda. So he was born in mid 1870s, the son of a poor father. He grew up around the forest of the Bodhons. ठीक है, grazing sheep. This region is placed in means आपका झारखंड जो है, ठीक है, छोटा नागपुर रीजन आपको जो हम बोलते हैं. Playing the flute and dancing in the local akhara. Forced by the poverty, his father had to move from place to place looking for work. As an adolescent, Birsa heard tales of the Munda uprising of the past and saw the Sirdars, it means leaders to the community, urging the people to revolt. They talked of the golden age when the Mundas had been free of the oppression of the Dikus, and said there would be time when the ancestral rights of the community would be restored. They saw themselves as the descendants of the original settlers of the region, fighting for their land, reminding people of their need to win back their kingdom. So since his childhood, Birsa has heard so many tales or the stories of his tribe, where he used to read or hear that, means how brave the people of his tribe. Okay, and they were often talk about the means golden age. So golden age is refers to that time when these tribal groups had been free of the oppression of the Dikus. So Dikus is a word used to means it this word Dikus denotes means not only the Britishers but also the money lenders or the big landowners who badly exploited these tribal groups. Okay, so means golden age refers to that phase of time where when these tribal groups, they were free from all types of oppression led by the Dikus, that is the Britishers, means the big landlords, the money lenders, etc. Okay, and means their community, means they saw themselves as descendants of, and these tribal groups, they believed that they were the original inhabitants of these regions. means ये क्या हैं, जंगलों के असली निवासी हैं जो वहीं रहते हैं. ठीक है, so since his means in his childhood he went to a local missionary school and listened to the sermons means होता है उपदेश. Okay, of the missionaries were the people means who having the responsibility to lead the spread of Christianity. They just tell people about the goodness of Christianity. Okay, there too he heard it said that was the possible for Mundas to attain the kingdom of heaven and again their lost rights. This would be possible if they became if they became good Christians and gave up their bad practices. Later, Birsa also spent some time with in the company of the prominent Vaishnavas, means preachers, those who were the preacher and acknowledgeable people. He wore the sacred thread and began to value the importance of purity and piety. Okay, actually he was very deeply influenced by many of the ideas he came in touch with the growing up years. His movement was aimed to reforming tribal society. He urged the Mundas to give drinking liquor. This is the main feature of his movement and the revolt. Means he urged the Munda tribe people to give up drinking liquor, clean their villages and stop believing in the witchcraft and the sorcery. Means जो myths जो होते हैं. But we must remember that Birsa also turned against the missionaries and Hindu landlords. They were the people who they consider as Dikus. ठीक है. He saw them as outside forces that were running the Munda way, means they ruining the Munda way of life. Means according to Birsa, the missionaries and the Hindu landlords, they just try to ruin the life of these Munda tribes. So in 1895, Birsa urged his followers to recover their glorious past. He talked of the golden age in past, a Satyug, when the Mundas live in good life, constructed embankments, tapped natural springs, planted trees and orchards, practiced the shifting cultivation to earn their living. Means he urged the Munda tribes that means they should fight for their independence and they should try to bring back the golden age, जब उनके पास क्या थी, पूरी freedom थी. They were able to use such type of forest resources, means quite well, without any fear and without any restriction. Okay, so he led the revolt against the Britishers, under which they just looted the bazaars. They attacked on the all those buildings and on the monuments or the places which were the symbol of the British authority. Okay, so means in reaction of this, as the movement spread, the British officers decided to act. They arrested Birsa in 1895 and convicted him to charges of the rioting and jailed him for 2 years. When Birsa was released in 1897, he began touring the villages to gather support. He used the traditional symbols and the languages to rouse people, urging them to destroy Ravana. So Ravana is a name that is used for Dikus and the Europeans. Means I have already told you this. The Hindu landlords, the Europeans, that is the British power, and established a kingdom under his leadership. Birsa's followers began targeting the symbol of Diku, the European power. Means they attacked all those things which were the symbol of their authority. They attacked the police stations, churches and raided the property of the money lenders and the zamindars. They raised the white flag as a symbol of Birsa Raj. ठीक है, means the white flag is the symbol of Birsa Raj. In 1900 Birsa died of cholera. उसकी मौत हो गई थी cholera से. और यहाँ पे जो है however the movement was significant in at least for 2 years. First it forced the colonial, means it is very true that this movement was badly crushed by the British government, but ये वो बोल रहा है कि this movement, इस movement की बहुत significant, माने इसकी importance है दो ways में. First है it forced the colonial government to introduce laws so that the land of the tribal could not be easily taken over by the Dikus, and the second one is it showed once again that the tribal people had the capacity to protest against injustice and express their anger against the colonial rule. They did this in their own specific way, inventing their own rituals and the symbols of struggle. Okay, so in this chapter we have read that I just explain you that what type of life the tribal groups they used to live before the arrival of the Britishers and how their life were changed with the advent of the British government. Okay, I hope you all will be able to understand this. If you having any problem, you can ask me personally. Okay, and better please you just try to join the online classes. It will be very beneficial for you, as it means you can ask your doubts that time only. Okay, so please join the team app as soon as possible. Means otherwise I will just try to make the videos for you. It will a very time consuming process, so please, if you can, you should go for the online classes. Okay, thank you.